Out to Christine Brennan. Team USA, y'all need to stop playing. Hold on, wait a second. Y'all will recognize and appreciate Caitlin Clark as the face of this whole get-up. Nobody's checking for these other, no disrespect. Great basketball players. That don't mean people checking for you. You mean to tell me y'all put other people's face all on the Team USA stuff and y'all left Caitlin Clark off of it?
So there I was, just scrolling through social media, when suddenly I saw it, a promotional graphic for the USA Basketball December training camp. And my jaw dropped. Not a little surprise, but a full no way this is real kind of shock. Because the biggest name in women's basketball, the player who has single-handedly boosted ratings, viewership, and merchandise sales, wasn't on it. Not even a tiny mention.
Out promoting women's basketball, bring new fans in, and get unprecedented attention for a team that dropped in TV viewership at the Paris Olympics. That's right, the women's USA viewership dropped at the Olympics in Paris. Nobody was watching it. They would have added the photo of one of the player to this graphic, but
we're talking about Caitlin Clark, the same rookie who helped drive a 400% spike in WNBA viewership and whose jersey outsold every other female athlete combined. Yet somehow, USA Basketball chose to spotlight players like Kalia Copper, Kelsey Plum, and Jackie Young in their promotional graphics, while completely leaving Clark out. That it feels almost intentional, like they're ignoring the massive wave of attention and excitement she's brought to the sport.
Well, I've given it, as you know, over the last 60 hours. I broke the news right around midnight, Friday to Saturday morning. And I think on both fronts, merit and publicity, you of course mentioned it, you know, it's just a total swing and a miss by the national governing body, by USA Basketball, just a missed opportunity. And but I'll start with my answer by saying I have covered this.
Christine Brennan, a journalist who has covered Olympic basketball since 1984, was the one who broke this news. And her reaction alone told you everything. She made it clear just how shocking this really is, and honestly, it only makes the whole situation look even worse. Remember, the projected viewership for the women's basketball team at the Paris Olympics was already expected to drop dramatically compared to past years. Brennan pointed out that casual fans had zero compelling reason to tune in, which is why numbers were predicted to fall off a cliff. Sure, the hardcore basketball fans would watch no matter what, but the larger sports audience, the one that drives hype, attention, and advertising dollars, wasn't showing up.
On that team, the team that so richly deserves attention and doesn't get it and won't get it without her, because there's just so much going on in an Olympics. On that same day, there probably will be 30 other gold medals given out, and sports editors and others have to make a decision. Do you go to Simone Biles? Do you go to women's soccer? Where do you go? It's not, you know, there's just too much going on. You put Caitlin Clark on that team, and every single one of those guys that can't.
Now compare that to Caitlin Clark's rookie season with Indiana. Her WNBA games averaged 1.2 million viewers on television. Unheard of numbers in modern women's basketball. Every game she played turned into an event. The league saw crowds it hadn't seen in nearly 2 decades. Arenas that once struggled to fill seats were suddenly selling out weeks in advance. The blueprint was right in front of them. USA Basketball had an entire WNBA season to study. They saw the TV ratings. They saw the merch numbers. They saw international reporters flying in just to cover one player. And after all of that, they still chose to leave her completely out of this promotional graphic.
92, Rich, how the men's team, how that grew basketball around the world, especially for boys and men, and where it reached Africa. Well, the opportunity with Caitlin Clark's popularity, Africa, Europe, Asia. Think of how many number 22 USA jerseys would have been sold. Money that could have then been pumped back in to help have development.
Now pay attention to how Brennan described covering those past gold medal games. She said it felt like tumbleweeds were blowing through the arena at a gold medal game for what is arguably the most dominant basketball program in Olympic history. She recalled standing in the press tribune, the official media section, and seeing it practically empty. Just let that sink in. The U.S. women's team has not lost a single Olympic game since 1992. They've won 7 straight gold medals. They are, by every metric, one of the most successful teams in Olympic history, men or women. Yet the very reporters whose job is to cover basketball weren't even showing up. Why? Because the audience wasn't there and the viewership numbers didn't justify their time.
See what I'm saying? Christine Brennan gets it. Brennan gets it. Regardless how you feel about her, she's been on this stuff from the beginning. Caitlin Clark got disrespected by Team USA when they had her coming off the bench when she was, 17? Y'all had her coming off the bench behind Haley Van Lith. Like,
Back in the 2012 London Olympics, Brennan had already been talking about this issue with Bob Ryan, one of the most respected basketball journalists in the country. That was 12 years ago. This isn't some new problem. What is new is that USA Basketball now has a ready-made global solution sitting right in front of them, and they're choosing not to use it. And listen to what Brennan says about the male sports journalists. She doesn't sugarcoat anything. She lays out a reality that most of the sports media world would never admit publicly. Many outlets will cover the men's Olympic basketball team without hesitation, but won't cover the women's games, even when both teams are competing in the same building. It's a choice, one driven entirely by what they believe the audience cares about. Journalists choose assignments based on clicks, audience interest, and what editors will approve. Their decisions send a message that no one cares about women's basketball, even though the 2024 WNBA season proved that narrative completely wrong. Suddenly, the same reporters who ignored the women's game were fighting for access to Indiana Fever games. International reporters flew to Indianapolis to cover a rookie point guard. Brennan even mentions a British journalist who told her, at the Masters, of all places, that he had a special plan to cover Caitlin Clark at the Olympics. There was demand. There was genuine worldwide curiosity. The media ecosystem was finally aligned. And despite all of this, USA Basketball still left her off the Olympic roster, citing reasons like honoring veterans and team cohesion. Brennan goes further. She compares this moment to the 1992 Dream Team. And she's not exaggerating. The men's Dream Team revolutionized basketball globally. International talent exploded. TV deals worth billions emerged. New countries entered the NBA pipeline. Brennan argues that Caitlin Clark represented that kind of moment for women's basketball, not just in the United States, but globally. In countries where women's basketball barely exists, a number 22 USA jersey would have sold. Clark would have given young girls someone to watch, to copy, to believe in, even in places without organized leagues. The financial impact alone would have been enormous. USA Basketball could have used that surge to fund youth programs, expand global pathways, and grow the sport in ways they've failed to do for decades. Instead, they passed on the best expansion opportunity women's basketball has ever had, choosing short-term continuity over long-term global growth. This is why Brennan's credibility matters. She's not some influencer chasing views. She's not a young reporter craving attention. She's covered every Olympics since 1984. She knows the USA basketball system inside and out. So when she says she has personally seen the lack of interest, she's speaking from experience. 40 years of standing in nearly empty press sections during gold medal games. And the fact that her next interview is with a radio station in New Zealand shows how aggressively the international media is chasing this story. This isn't normal. Not for a graphic. Not for a training camp. Not for a simple promotional image. Global outlets are treating this like a major controversy. Even stranger, the training camp doesn't even start until December 12th. This isn't the Olympic roster announcement. This isn't a press conference. It's just promotional art. And it has already gone worldwide. That alone shows how badly USA Basketball miscalculated. They've proven, unintentionally, that the absence of one player from a practice camp image is enough to create global headlines. And this leads into the deeper frustration. Caitlin Clark has been undervalued by USA Basketball before. When she played for the junior national team at age 17, she wasn't even a starter. Haley Van Lith got the starting role, while Clark came off the bench. Think about that. The player who would one day break Pete Maravich's 54-year-old NCAA scoring record was considered a reserve. The athlete who would become the most talked about women's basketball player in history was treated like a role player. And no, this isn't hindsight. Even at 17, Clark's talent was obvious. Her court vision, her shooting range, her ability to create her own shots. Everyone could see she was different. But the evaluation system didn't. This is why the promotional graphic matters so much. It's not a one-time oversight. It's part of a long history of USA basketball undervaluing the one player who has done more for the growth of women's basketball than anyone in the last 20 years. Now consider USA basketball's mission. Yes, they exist to win medals, but they also exist to grow the sport. Their mandate includes increasing participation, expanding the audience, building media relevance, and ensuring financial sustainability, by every measure. The most important figure in women's basketball today is Caitlin Clark. Millions of new fans into the WNBA. She inspired kids everywhere to pick up a basketball. She attracted media outlets that never cared about women's sports before. She proved the sport can be profitable. Yet USA basketball continues to cling to a failing formula. This isn't just tone deaf. This is organizational failure. A governing body that doesn't understand its own audience, its own leverage, or its own future. And here's the most ironic part. The WNBA just finalized a new CBA that dramatically improved salaries and benefits. They were able to do that because of record sponsorship interest, huge attendance gains, and surging TV ratings. And whether people like the idea or not, Caitlin Clark was the primary catalyst for all of it. This is the real context. That's why this promotional graphic isn't just a graphic. It symbolizes how far behind USA basketball truly is. The new CBA doesn't happen without the leverage created by measurable, undeniable audience growth. And that growth came directly from the one athlete they continue to sideline. The viewership boom didn't appear out of thin air. It was driven by one player who made women's basketball must-watch entertainment for millions of new fans. That USA basketball is now preparing for the 2026 World Cup and the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. Two massive opportunities to build on the momentum of the 2024 WNBA season. LA will bring home crowds, primetime slots, and unprecedented media attention. But momentum isn't automatic. Caitlin Clark brought millions of new fans. To keep them, those fans have to see her on the biggest stage. If USA basketball continues to minimize her role or exclude her from key promotions, those new fans won't stay. That once momentum dies, you don't get it back. The 2024 season was extraordinary. A generational star, a fresh narrative, and a hungry sports media landscape all came together to create a breakthrough moment that USA basketball can build on that moment, or squander it. Right now, they're choosing to squander it. They're making decisions based on outdated evaluations, internal politics, and loyalty structures that no longer reflect the reality of the women's basketball market. The comfort of the old system is blinding them to the opportunity to reshape the future.